Fern, I guess is what we're calling it. So our top priority in the state of Tennessee right now is clearing trees to really enable movement and to allow faster restoration of power. TEMA's #1 mission is supporting rapid restoration of power. The state of Tennessee is working to accomplish this by finding teams and resources to cut and clear down trees out of the way, get debris out of the roadway so that line crews and responders and utilities can go and get power restored and restore access to resources that folks might need in an emergency. Across Tennessee, we've got debris clearing teams actively working to remove trees, limbs, and storm debris that we've assigned here from the State Emergency Operations Center. So again, chainsaw, cut and toss. This is not debris clearance in the way that we typically would think of it after a disaster. This is really about an emergency protective measure to enable movement and resources to flow after this disaster. So our focus remains on primary routes, emergency access roads, and heavily impacted communities while working towards secondary routes. As you guys have been out and about, I'm sure you've seen that primary routes are pretty good, secondary routes are pretty good, and then once you get to the third and fourth order roads, those are pretty treacherous still sometimes. So while debris cleanup is typically a local jurisdiction responsibility, the unprecedented scale and scope of this event requires the state to assume a significant portion of the role, and we're doing that. The governor's executive order this week enabling TDOT to work off system will allow us to provide additional support to county highway departments so that we can, again, help utility companies more rapidly restore power. TEMA is currently coordinating chainsaw debris and cleaning crews with more than 90 people from our federal partners. You've seen that referred to some in their news releases as hotshot crews that are coming up. They were stationed in Tishomingo County, Mississippi, and have been deployed here to help us and help us get our utility companies out in places that have been devastated. The Tennessee National Guard is sending more personnel to integrate with NES operations and with TDOT to augment their ability to do cut and clear operations. And through the governor's emergency declaration, the state has received 91 personnel to support cut and toss teams. Based on combined reports from state agencies and local governments, at least 3,000 down trees have already been cleared or cut statewide. I am sure that is a fraction of the actual number that's been cut and cleared, just based on the amount of times I've been able to go and tour some of the areas that have been impacted. This includes more than 1,100 trees cleared by local governments and thousands of trees removed from state routes by TDOT, TWRA, and forestry crews. Yesterday, Governor Bill Lee issued Executive Order 111, a critical step to speed up tree and debris clearance removal, or vegetative debris from around power lines especially. This executive order authorizes TDOT to assist on non-state roads, allowing TDOT crews to remove down trees and debris from county and city roadways when requested through TEMA. So we're working with our county emergency management agencies to find these routes. We're working with utility companies to find out where the most important places for them to be able to restore the most power in the fastest way possible to the places that they serve. Why power restoration matters, we know. Heat and winter. It is brutally cold. People have been very uncomfortably dangerous. Temperatures have been in people's homes, and without power, homes quickly become dangerous, especially for older adults, infants, or those with medical conditions. Many people rely on electricity for medical home oxygen machines, dialysis support, or making sure their medications like insulin are safe. And carbon monoxide risk is something that we see an increased amount of in these wintry conditions, and unfortunately we've had at least one death reported as a result of carbon monoxide poisoning, and as you've carried on as we've seen on the news, a number of other suspected cases of carbon monoxide poisoning leading to medical treatment. Clearing trees is the gateway to recovery. It allows those utility crews to safely restore power. It enables first responders to reach residents in need, and it restores the access for healthcare workers, supplies, and essential services. This remains a coordinated statewide effort with state, local, federal utility partners working side by side. So the utilities they have a great mutual aid system where they support each other. They have great contracts with contract workers. And as the scope of this response is narrowed from really stretching from Dallas to New York into the more concentrated areas of northern Mississippi, much of Tennessee, and northern Louisiana, they're able to move more resources to help them address these things. The state of Tennessee has made some resources available. TEMA, working with the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, requested for TBI to make a hotline available so that welfare and wellness checks could be requested. This hotline is intended for situations where loved ones or neighbors have not been able to reach someone, and those requests are submitted through this line that are then coordinated where state or local law enforcement personnel are able to go and check on people. We have a disaster hotline, disaster information line that's available that opened earlier today. This hotline provides general disaster-related information, including available resources, recovery guidance, and where the public can get help. Our public messaging emphasis is encouraging Tennesseans to use these hotlines when it's appropriate rather than 911. So for non-emergency needs, calling the TBI hotline in order to get wellness checks or calling the disaster information line when they have questions helps those priority traffic on 911 lines to stay emergencies. And we're working to make sure that we're sharing information in as many ways as possible so that those that are without power can access it. The Central Resource Hub for information related to Winter Storm Fern you can find on TEMA's webpage, which is www.tn.gov/TEMA. Again, that's www.tn.gov/TEMA. As additional assistance or recovery resources become available, they'll be posted on that same website. Again, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation hotline is available to assist with welfare and wellness checks for individuals impacted by Winter Storm Fern. The line should be used whenever a loved one or a neighbor cannot reach someone that they're concerned about, and we'll make sure that appropriate state or local resources are deployed to go and check on them. The disaster information line is open to support Tennesseans impacted by the storm. This hotline provides general disaster-related information, including available resources, recovery guidance, and where to get help. It serves as a central point of contact as response and recovery efforts continue. Tennesseans are encouraged to use those hotlines again instead of 911. So leave 911 for emergency needs, use these other hotlines for non-emergency needs. And I'll just speak on the weather fatalities. At this point, the Tennessee Department of Health has confirmed 10 weather-related fatalities. It's 1 in Obion, 1 in Crockett, 1 in Haywood, 3 in Davidson County, 2 in Cheatham County, 1 in Hickman County, and 1 in Knox County. We continue to urge Tennesseans to not be on dangerous roads. Of course, a lot of them have been cleared now, but and then really urge, if you're using an external heating source or energy source, please make sure your generators are more than 20 feet away from your structure, and that you're hopefully have a carbon monoxide alarm. So if something happens or you're experiencing any symptoms of carbon monoxide, that you can know them and then get out. And of course, we've made shelters available. Our local partners across the state, more than 100 warming centers and shelters are open throughout the state that are available. And calling your county emergency manager, they can help get you transportation there if you're not able to get there. So with that, I'll take questions. Yes, sir.
You said you were out, had your window down, out except looking things over. Tell us your thoughts on, after going out over the past few days, what you, I guess your final analysis, or I mean, everything, because it's kind of getting back to normal now, but over the past few days, what have you seen that's really stood out to you?
Yeah, so right now it's even more stark, the difference between those that have been impacted and those that aren't. So obviously, stately old trees, young trees, vegetative debris down everywhere. Some roads still inaccessible. I think a lot of the departments of transportation, whether TDOT or local, have done a great job of clearing routes by plowing and treating, but the vegetative debris, the things that are obstacles, those things are still gumming up the works, as it were. So there's a lot's been done. I think a lot's still left to be done in order to restore power. And I imagine people are very frustrated that they're in the dark or the cold still, and it feels like it's going to take a while. And they should just know that we see them, and that not just the state of Tennessee, but local governments and utility companies are working around the clock and getting in as many resources as possible that can work on these problems there.
And all those tree debris, I think you said how it'll take a long time for that to get done, and then after that, what's the process of getting rid of it? It has to go to the curb, or where is it going to be taken to?
Yeah, each community in the state has a debris plan, so usually, as a matter of course, debris should make it to the right-of-way, and then the communities will have a debris plan. We're evaluating longer term how we might manage that, and by longer term I mean within the next week, starting to communicate that with our counties so that folks can make sure that their recovery and getting back to normal is going as quickly as possible.
And the city hasn't seen anything really, at least winter like this since '94, if I'm not mistaken. And like, what have you all learned from dealing with this storm? What would you like to see do better in the long run? How has this made you more prepared for the future? Or what can people do to help themselves in the future should this ever happen again?
Well, I think one lesson for me is that the National Weather Service is getting much better at their 7-day forecasts. So 7 days ahead of time, they were forecasting significant winter weather. I do wish the snowfall part of that forecast had proved more true. Of course, they were predicting the ice as we got closer to the storm. I think maybe it ended up exceeding some of their most likely case scenarios. But we need to make sure that our infrastructure is resilient and that we are maintaining the infrastructure around our power infrastructure. And I know a lot of investment goes into that already. I think this just provides us an opportunity to see how we might do that better, really in much of our state.
And the death toll, can you speak on what the suspected causes were? What is the majority cause? Or
I don't have that with me right now, but we'll be able to make that available.
I had a couple for you.
Yes, sir.
Also with the Tennessean, kind of stemming off of your answer a moment ago to that question of lessons learned. When you think about just how regional power outages affected things here in Tennessee, is there anything specifically on that front that TEMA is taking as, here's what we're going to do differently next time to mitigate those effects or anything on that front?
Yeah, so we're always trying to work with communities around making sure that they're taking actions to mitigate the hazards they face. So whether that's winter weather or severe storms in the summertime, I think the lesson is that we can always do a little bit more to mitigate, and that the tendency of people is to not treat things with urgency. And I think mitigating and building infrastructure that can withstand severe weather is something that we should treat with urgency day to day.
And then my other question for you, you talked a bit earlier about the importance of messaging, and today and then yesterday, calling out those 2 hotlines launched for just general information and then reporting to state folks issues happening in your community. So do you feel like that messaging has been timely? I mean, just when we think about the situation here in Nashville, we're talking about folks who at a scale of 100,000 people still have been without power for 5 days. So when those hotlines are launching 5 days in, what's your assessment?
Yeah, so we were using local lines, and so as we assessed yesterday the volume exceeding local capacities to manage and answer these calls, then it's time for us to do some things at the state level. In the same way the state steps in to augment local resources in disaster recovery and response, this is a part of that. Our county emergency management partners were letting us know that they were overwhelmed by the number of calls they were receiving, some of which are just general information or people testing the calls. And so this gives us the ability to offload that pressure and help be more helpful to those that are calling for help or for information and next steps for them.
Just what's the most important thing people at home can do right now to help you all as you go underway to get all this cleared and get us back to normal?
Yeah, so a couple of things I'd say. The first thing is check on your neighbors. Make sure they're okay. It's amazing how much better our lives are when we check on those around us. And so I would encourage that to be the first thing. The next thing I would say, make sure you're reviewing your insurance documentation. Take lots of pictures of the damage that's around. And if you're able to move some of the debris around and make your property or your home safer, go ahead and do some of those things. But again, document what you're seeing. We know there's a lot of damage. If you see problems with the infrastructure, don't presume that someone's already reported it. Each jurisdiction in the state has a different way that their utility departments, highway departments, water departments receive So whatever's appropriate to you. Yesterday while driving around, I noted that I thought I might have come across a place where there's a water main leak, and so I made sure to report that to that appropriate county government so that they could go and find it. And for me, my thought was there was an awful lot of water when there was not a lot of melting, and a lot of it was pretty steamy, which is just telling me that it's above freezing as it's getting in there into 23-degree air. So I was pretty sure there's probably a leak in a water main there, which as the temperatures continue to rise, as the volume of water going through that pipe increases, will increase the likelihood that it'll wash away. And unfortunately, this place, it was on a road. So that is something that people should also be looking out for as temperatures have these drastic shifts like this. It is inevitable that water mains will break. There is almost nothing that can be done about it at this point. But rapid reporting of changes in water pressure to water utilities will help your utility departments be more responsive and able to resolve that problem more quickly and prevent loss of water pressure throughout their systems.
I got a number for you.
Yes, sir.
Can you speak to any possible National Guard deployment in Nashville? I know that state representatives and senators sent a letter earlier today asking for a deployment here to help with
I've not seen that letter, but the National Guard has been deployed and engaged with us from the very first outset of this event. And as needs are more apparent and where the National Guard can be the appropriate resource, and of course they're the Swiss Army knife in many ways of the tools available to the state of Tennessee. They've been there. They helped Nashville set up and staff medical shelter, medical aid in shelters, the 3 shelters that have been open. They set up cots. They do whatever's needed to be done. They have been doing cut and toss operations in different counties and augmenting security patrols in different places. So the National Guard is our Swiss Army knife, and those soldiers and airmen are out there in the cold and in front and doing the tasks that no one sees.
Yeah, so it sounds like they're requesting something that's already happening then, from your...
I have not seen the letter, so I can't answer that.
Yeah, fair enough.
They may be just asking for more urgency or like the ability to be able to.
Sure. Well, I appreciate you answering my curveball.
Yeah.
Thanks.
My pleasure. Okay, well, thank you so much, and praying for everyone in Tennessee, and just be safe out there.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. For June, there's going to be a pressure tomorrow, or
I don't know yet.
is it kind of a
Yeah,
day
are
by day?
you, you're on our.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
list?
I don't